The Menendez brothers, Lyle and Erik, appeared to have the perfect life. Their father, Jose Menendez, was a wealthy and successful entertainment executive, and their mother, Kitty Menendez, enjoyed a life of luxury as a Beverly Hills socialite. On the outside, their family seemed like the epitome of success and wealth, living in a sprawling mansion with all the trappings of high society. However, on the night of August 20th, 1989, everything came crashing down when Jose and Kitty were found brutally murdered in their living room, each having been shot multiple times.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people...
Oh, no.
Lyle and Erik, who claimed to have just returned home to discover their parents' bodies, appeared as grief-stricken sons. But as the investigation unfolded, suspicion quickly shifted towards the brothers. Their behavior in the aftermath of the murders raised red flags. Within days of their parents' deaths, they began spending millions of dollars on luxury items, cars, and vacations. This extravagant spending, coupled with inconsistencies in their stories, led investigators to believe that the brothers might not just be mourning victims, but the murderers themselves. When the brothers were arrested and charged with the murders, the case took a shocking turn during the trial. Lyle and Erik claimed that the killings were not driven by greed, but by years of severe physical, emotional, and sexual abuse at the hands of their father.
You said at some point your father had anal sex with you. Is that right?
Yes.
And how old do you believe you were when that happened?
I was in 6th grade. I'm pretty sure I was 12.
And was that within a year of the episode you previously described at 11?
Yes.
Now, you've mentioned earlier that he had made some efforts to accomplish anal intercourse with you that had been unsuccessful because it hurt you?
Yes.
And therefore he had stopped?
Yes.
And that was before the incident when you were 11 when he was violent, is that right?
Yes.
Now, when you were 12, do you recall the day that he succeeded?
Yes.
And was that a gentle process or not?
No, not at all.
What was it, Mr. Menendez?
It was very, very painful.
They testified in detail about the horrific abuse they endured, stating that they lived in constant fear of their father and believed they had no choice but to kill him before he killed them. Their defense painted them as traumatized victims pushed to their breaking point. However, the prosecution countered this narrative, arguing that the brothers' claims of abuse were fabricated to justify cold-blooded murder, and that the real motive was to inherit their parents' vast fortune. The jury ultimately sided with the prosecution, and in 1996, Lyle and Erik were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case, which had captured national attention, left many divided on whether the brothers were victims or killers motivated by greed. Decades later, new evidence has surfaced that could potentially change the course of the case. A letter written by Erik months before the murders describes the sexual abuse he was enduring, providing credibility to the brothers' original claims of being victims. Additionally, a new witness has come forward alleging inappropriate behavior by Jose Menendez towards his sons, adding further weight to their story. With this new evidence, the Menendez brothers' legal team is now seeking a retrial, arguing that the outcome might have differed if this information had been presented during the original trial. As the fight for a new trial continues, The question remains, were Lyle and Erik Menendez the victims of a monstrous father, or were they calculating killers who took their parents' lives for financial gain? The case of the Menendez murders continues to captivate and divide public opinion, with many wondering if the brothers will finally get a second chance to tell their story. Let us know in the comments. Do you think the Menendez brothers deserve a second chance? Thank you for watching this episode of T4 True Crimes. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more true crime stories.